As we have just a few weeks left in the 2024 season, what should you be looking for? And more importantly, what is the Washington Nationals' goal to end off 2024?
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as our show page at LO_Nationals for all your latest Nationals news and notes. Make sure to check us out over on Twitter. And while you're at it, make sure to search up Locked On Nationals wherever you get your podcast. So later on in today's show, we've got a Nats-Braves series preview. It's only a 2-game series here in D.C., so we'll discuss that as you've got former Washington Nationals top prospect Reynaldo Lopez, who has been dominant for the Atlanta Braves all season long, going up against Mackenzie Gore tonight. So we'll discuss that game a little bit later on in today's show. And just a few weeks ago, the Nationals announced that they will be bringing back the entire coaching staff, which in my opinion, I thought was a little bit weird, the timing of it. But more importantly, are we okay with that? Because we do know that here in town, at least some of us, I'm not going to say if I was in that, I'll reveal what I thought of kind of that move in the second segment of today's show. But more importantly, what is the Nationals' goal for the rest of September? And where should they be going? Well, as the same goal for 2024 entering this season, the goal should be for CJ Abrams, James Wood, and Dylan Crews to gel and mesh, and all eyes should be on them. And that is what the Davey Martinez coaching staff really should be focusing on here in 2024, and really the remainder of it. So getting into it, kind of individual goals. Really, let's just start off with this, because I've seen Davey Martinez tinker with the lineup a little bit too much for my comfort at this point. We all know what September is about. The Nationals are out of playoff contention. You're going to have one of the higher picks in the MLB draft coming up next July. You're out of it. It's now about the future. You want to see these younger guys play. You want to see the younger guys go out there and compete. And especially if you are a part of this foundation, which CJ Abrams, Dylan Crews, and James Wood, they are the foundation at this point. They are the future of this franchise. These are your three big guns at this point in time, because we can't rely on this team and really the front office to go out there and make some massive move with not really knowing what's going to be happening as far as spending goes in free agency. You need to make sure that these three guys are at the forefront of everything that you do. And I'm talking about everything. If Dylan Crews likes salmon at noon before games, you get salmon at noon before games. If James Wood likes a peanut butter and jelly at 5:45 before a game, you get him a peanut butter and jelly. If Dylan Crews or if CJ Abrams likes to use the bathroom in the third inning, you let them use the bathroom in the third inning. You have to make everything a priority for these three guys. And that is why going forward for the rest of the season, I want to see them back to back to back. CJ Abrams, we all know that he has been slumping. It's no coincidence. This has been a thing since the All-Star break. CJ Abrams should be your leadoff guy. And the reason why I say that is because that is what the future is going to hold for CJ Abrams. He is your leadoff hitter. He is your prototypical speedy guy where he does make some bad base running errors every now and then. But this is your leadoff hitter for the rest of 2024. And really going into next season, CJ Abrams on opening day will be your leadoff hitter. Batting second should be Dylan Crews. Dylan Crews in today's game in the analytical way that we think, having a hitter like that, and especially being a right-handed bat in between James Wood and CJ Abrams, he's going to be your number two hitter. And we all know that James Wood, while you could put him at number 2, you could put him at number 3, and hell, you could even lead him off at this point. It should be in that order, regardless of what you're looking at, regardless of what stat that you're looking at. Everything should be about these 3 guys moving forward. So really kind of getting into it, are you not tired of seeing Dylan Cruz batting 7th against the Pittsburgh Pirates? Are you tired of seeing CJ Abrams bat 6th or 7th now? James Wood is in the front of your lineup, and that's the way that it should be, considering he's probably your best hitter right now. But the way that the Nationals are kind of going about this, and the way that I think the Nationals really should go about this, is just catering to these 3 guys. This is your future. The reason why in September you have, if you're a bad team like the way that we are right now, even though there are glimpses of the future, you do see the process really kind of kicking in here, and there's a real opportunity for the Nats to compete in 2025. I think that last point there, what we just made, that there is a chance to compete in 2025, you will not be competing without the help of these 3 guys. I need them to feel comfortable. I need them to get acclimated to this lineup. I need them to play every single day. And more importantly, I need to see results. And I think if we're going to see results, you kind of have an individual goal at the plate for what you want to see from each of these 3 guys. So let's start out with CJ Abrams. I need to see CJ Abrams work the count more and be more selective. We all know that CJ Abrams chases a lot, even when times when he was hitting the ball really well. CJ Abrams is a chaser. He is going to go after that slider that is outside by a couple inches up the plate. He's going to go for that high fastball up in the zone because that's typical for a lot of young hitters in baseball. I need to see CJ Abrams be more selective at the plate. And I think that is something where it's really bitten him in the butt so far in the second half of 2024. The Pirates game the other day, I believe the first game of the doubleheader, CJ was struck out, and you saw him swing at 2 pitches that were way off the plate. Way off the plate. I believe it was from Mitch Keller, and really, that is not what CJ Abrams has done for quite some time here. And meaning, what I mean by that, let me kind of rephrase that. That is something that CJ Abrams has done for quite some time here. He needs to kind of hone in, figure out his strike zone, and more importantly, not be so aggressive. Because again, when CJ Abrams is at his best, it's when he's more patient, when he finds his pitch. And that is when he'll actually break out of this slump. And that is when you can see this Nationals team kind of take off a little bit more. For James Wood, I want to see a little bit more power. Similar to CJ Abrams, find your pitch. James Wood has raw power that not many people in baseball can have. There's Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, Mike Trout when he is healthy. James Wood has power like those guys. But he also has to be more selective at the plate. I've seen James Wood, and also we can kind of get into this aspect of it, but James Wood has had a very tough go of it. Being 6'7", getting adjusted to a major league strike zone, and also being 6'7" and how big that zone is, umpires trying to adjust to that as well. It is a really tough ask for James Wood and also the umpires. So James Wood is kind of in his category of his own, really him and Aaron Judge. So it's going to take some time for umps and James Wood to get used to that. So I think if James Wood were to find his pitch, be a little bit more selective, similar to CJ Abrams, then I think that is when we'll see a lot more power. Because again, the raw power is there. And if he's hitting behind Dylan Cruz and CJ Abrams, and if those speedsters are getting on base, and this guy can hit one to the wall, you're going to score 2 runs more times than not on hits like that. So if James Wood can find his power and kind of just be a little bit more aggressive at the plate when he sees a fastball in the zone, you got to kill that pitch, man. You can't watch that pitch go by. James Wood will recognize that because he is a very good hitter overall. and he'll make that adjustment, and that won't happen much more in the future. Dylan Cruz. I want to see Cruz plug the gap a little bit more and be the plus hitter that we know he can be in the way that he was touted to be. I think Dylan Cruz, again, like, we're at this stage now where he's getting used to being in the bigs. He's still young. But Dylan Cruz is a plus hitter. One of the better hitters in the national system and in the entire organization, in fact. Dylan Cruz has shown a little bit of power. He can show that he can run the bases. He plays great in center field and right field as well. But I want to see Dylan Cruz kind of be that plus hitter. Because if he can be batting behind a CJ Abrams, or hell, if he even is batting behind a James Wood, or whoever it may be, Andres Chaparro, that is going to be a huge help for this team. Because again, you kind of have three different guys here in this lineup as far as your foundation goes. You've got your big power guy with James Wood. You've got your solid all-around hitter with Dylan Cruz. And you kind of have your diet version of a Dylan Cruz with CJ Abrams, someone who's got a little bit of power, someone who's got a little bit of contact ability as well, who will put the ball in play. And also, with that said, CJ Abrams, one of the faster guys in the major leagues. The Nationals are set up for success. I think we have seen that this September. But also, with that said, everything should be about CJ Abrams, James Wood, and Dylan Cruz. That is the Nationals' goal. Accustom everything to this organization, to those three guys, and let's just see what happens. So thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Next, let's talk about the Nationals bringing back their coaching staff. That was kind of a weird announcement. Well, do you think it was weird? I'm going to tell you guys about our friends over at Gametime. And guys, have you ever been to a Nats game? Like maybe you're going tonight, you're walking up Half Street, and I just need a ticket. So I open up Gametime. And of course, if you don't know, Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. And Gametime Picks filters out the fluffs to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And of course, I can tell you guys this. Have you heard of the super deal? Well, you can get super deals all the time on Gametime. When I'm walking up to Half Street, up to Nationals Park, I always open up Gametime. I find their flash zone deals. And of course, they always have the lowest price guaranteed and event cancellation protection as well. I just open up Gametime. I get the views from my seats, which are my favorite features in all of sports. And I get everything right there. And then bam, tickets are in my hand, ready to go to the Nationals game. And I am there right before first pitch. It is that easy. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's game time. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, check us out over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals, hit that subscriber button for me. And of course, wherever you get your podcast as well. A few weeks ago, this kind of got lost in the shuffle here as the Nationals called up Dylan Cruz and all the fun stuff. The Nationals were playing well. The Nationals announced that they will be bringing back the entire coaching staff for 2025. So let's kind of get into that here. We all know the name Darnell Kohls. If you don't, he is the Nationals hitting coach. Darnell Kohls has been here since Kevin Long left the organization, went up to Philadelphia, and since then the Phillies have been a very good offensive team. Darnell Kohls, on the other hand, I don't know what to make of this decision. I don't. Because I think there's two sides to this coin, and really, it might be a little bit unfair to Darnell Kohls to even kind of consider this. But Darnell Kohls coming back as the Nationals hitting coach, in my opinion, I think that is the wrong choice. I just do. Darnell Kohls, the other side of this conversation is that, Well, what has he had to work with? Really, what has he had to work with? Now at this point, you've got CJ Abrams, Dylan Cruz, James Wood, Andres Chaparro, Juan Yepez, Keibert Ruiz. But I see too many of the same issues with all of those guys, specifically CJ Abrams and Keibert Ruiz, guys that we have seen in this organization for quite a while now. I don't understand this decision, and really what I don't understand is making it in the middle of August. What was that decision about? What made you decide then and there that we're going to bring back the entire coaching staff? That part is frustrating to me, especially with this decision, because in my opinion, Darnell Kohls, the Nationals hitting coach, is probably the most polarizing coach in all of DC right now. He is public enemy number one to a lot of Nationals fans. And to be honest, probably in an unfair way for just being 100% honest here. But Darnell Kohls is someone where you've seen all these guys have the same issues time and time again. You haven't really seen improvements all too much from Keibert Ruiz. In fact, you've seen him take step backs. CJ Abrams, while he was an all-star in the first half, and rightfully so, he's taken another step back this second half of 2024. Those are the two guys that I really look at because they have been under Darnell Kohls for quite some time. So no, I don't understand why the Nationals are bringing back Darnell Kohls. On the other hand, though, Jim Hickey, the Nationals pitching coach, this is someone before 2024 I was fed up with. What are we doing bringing back Jim Hickey? He's not in analytics, really. And what has he done so special with this pitching staff? Similarly to Darnell Kohls, he doesn't have that much talent to work with. But also the talent that he does have to work with hasn't really showed up too much. But then there's been the son that has been just great, Sean Doolittle. Now, if we were going to say Sean Doolittle will be the pitching coach, absolutely sign me up for that today. Sign me up for that yesterday, a few months ago. We know what Sean Doolittle has done for this pitching staff. But there's a case to be made as to why Jim Hickey should be coming back, though. The pitching staff has looked good. And again, as far as resources go, the Nationals pitching staff, while you've got Mackenzie Gore, you had Josiah Gray, the pitching staff has been solid overall. And that is something we just simply cannot ignore. And yes, of course, Sean Doolittle is in this picture as well, as he has helped tremendously with this organization. But also, you got to give some credit to Jim Hickey. You just have to. Jim Hickey has done a lot with a little with this pitching staff. And yes, I do recognize the fact that Sean Doolittle is kind of contributing to that in a major way with kind of being the analytical guy as far as the pitching goes. And you've seen guys like DJ Hers come up. But as far as Nationals prospects go, guys who have come up, Mackenzie Gore is really the only guy who had high expectations. Other than that, Jake Irvin has blown expectations away. Mitchell Parker, while he has struggled here as of late, he has blown expectations away as well. DJ Hers has looked very good, has blown expectations away. I don't think that it's the wrong decision to bring back Jim Hickey, as long as Sean Doolittle is there. And my one concern is that someone else out there this offseason will say, Sean Doolittle, you're our pitching coach, and he leaves the organization. If that is the case, Jim Hickey out the door, Sean Doolittle in his pitching coach. I don't think Doolittle will do that. I do like to think that he has a special connection to this organization and he will stay here. But let's just say the Yankees come knocking on the door, or the Phillies, or his old team with the Oakland A's. I don't know. Then maybe Doolittle does leave for a better opportunity. This is one of my kind of sneaky disappointing ones. Gerardo Parra, returning as the first base coach. Listen, be the first base coach. Just don't mess up. But on the other hand of this, he has been the guy overseeing the Nationals' base running duties. Let me ask you this. How has the base running been this year? I'll answer it for you. It's been terrible. Awful from day one. Awful. Now, to Davey's credit, he also said this offseason that he was going to be kind of overseeing the base running as well, but Parra was supposed to be coming in here and helping with that factor a lot. I think there's a case to be made that the Nationals are a way worse base running team than what they have been over the last few seasons here. And they were bad the last few seasons, but this season has been really bad. So that is another issue with me. But of course, the Nationals, they're bringing them back. As the offseason comes in the next few weeks, we'll discuss that more, dive into it more, what we want to see. But of course, drop your comment down on YouTube. What do you make of the Nationals really bringing back their coaching staff? And more importantly, did they make the right decision? That is something that we'll tackle in the offseason as we get closer to October baseball. But now let's preview the Nationals-Braves 2-game set as you've got Atlanta in town with Mackenzie Gore on the bump tonight against Ronaldo Lopez. But before we get into it, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And of course, you've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. All you have to do, guys, is visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Again, just visit FanDuel.com, download America's #1 sportsbook, and maybe you'll get lucky. Again, download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Just visit FanDuel.com. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Tonight, you have got former Nationals top prospect Ronaldo Lopez against Mackenzie Gore. If you are not familiar, Ronaldo Lopez has had a renaissance season with the Atlanta Braves. And if you saw from this last offseason, the Braves, when they signed him, the first thing I said, they signed him to a multi-year deal with pretty decent money in there, and they said he's going to be a starting pitcher. That's when I knew. I knew the Braves see something that we don't see, and it's going to come back and bite us in the butt, and boy, has it. Well, Ronaldo Lopez has had a great season for the Atlanta Braves, has probably been their second best pitcher behind, the possible Cy Young winner with Chris Sale in 2024, but Ronaldo Lopez is going to get Cy Young votes, as he should. He's got a low 2 ERA on the season. He's been very consistent. He did kind of battle injuries at some point in 2024, but has since bounced back. But let's look at Mackenzie Gore now. Gore has put together a few really good starts here of recent, and he has also actually pitched pretty damn well against the Atlanta Braves this year. But are the Nationals going to be able to, number one, give him run support? And number two, is Mackenzie Gore going to kind of keep this magic going? I think if he keeps the trains on the tracks, then we'll be in good shape. But in tomorrow's game, you got another left-handed pitcher, Max Fried, against Jake Irvin. Jake Irvin, as of late, you saw him in the Nats stock report yesterday. Over his last 7 starts, he's going up 9 home runs, and he has a 7 ERA. I am not loving this, but fortunately for the Nats, the Braves are a slumping team right now, especially offensively. As we sit here today without Austin Riley, they're missing power. They're missing Ronald Acuna from earlier on this season. And the Braves just seem to be a shell of a baseball team, because I thought they would be in the World Series this year. I thought they'd bounce back, go into the NLCS, take the NLCS, and then go into the postseason. But as we sit here today, the Mets are the better team record-wise, which is insane to say, because no one saw that coming. So This is a huge series for the Braves. They're going to come in here trying to win this one. The Nationals, they've got nothing to lose. And when you're playing a team that has nothing to lose, that is a scary sight. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day. Please enjoy tonight's show with the Braves and the Nats. I'll discuss it in tomorrow's episode here on Locked On Nationals. I'll catch you on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.